welcome back to the meadow. This is the third part of Mint's origin. We hope you enjoy.
Today we find Mint Kit 6 months old. She sits with Sleek when the leader, Harpy Star, called a meeting. She nervously sat waiting.
We are here today to give several cats mentors. Mint Kit, she turned her attention to Mint, will be known as Mint Paw and will become my apprentice.
Sleek looked down towards Mint with a proud grin.
Mud Kit will be known as Mud Paw. She turned her attention to Mud. Your mentor will be Sleek Pelt. And finally, Dusk Paw's mentor will be Oakberry. Harpy Star looked at the clan as a whole. That concludes this meeting. Thank you, every cat.
Mint's heart began to beat fast. Her mentor was the leader of RiverClan. She turned her attention over to Sleek Pelt, nervous. Do you think I'll do great? She noticed a Tom standing next to her.
Sleek stood with a stretch, nodding toward Mint before looking at her new apprentice. Are you excited, Mudpaw?
He nodded vigorously.
Sleek heard her name called to go on patrol. Oh, Harpy Star, would you mind taking Mudpaw along with Mint? I need to go on patrol.
Harpy nodded. I will take them when they are done greeting their fellow apprentices.
Great. She dipped her head in respect before wandering toward the exit. Good luck, Mint.
He nudged Mint. Hi!
Mint looked up at Tom, Mudpaw. Hi, she said shyly.
Young ones, come find me when you are ready. Harpy wandered off.
She nodded to her leader and turned her attention back to Mudpaw. Hi, I'm Mint.
I'm Mudpaw, he smiled. Nice to meet you, Mint. Your mentor's the leader, right?
She smiled back, a little bit nervous. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
And you got Sleek? She was a little sad she hadn't gotten her adoptive mother as her mentor. She knew that Sleek and her got along, but she wasn't sure about Harpy Star.
Yup! His chest puffed full of pride.
You're lucky to have her. She's a good mentor, she sighed, trying not to show disappointment.
But you got the leader! Isn't that awesome?
Sleek entered back into camp with a yawn. She smirked as she noticed the two apprentices chatting. Have you two set up your nests yet?
Oh, not yet. We were saying hi.
She tilted her head. Why don't you two set up your nests in the apprentice den? She turned her attention to Mud. We can start training tomorrow.
He nodded. Yes, ma'am! Oh, Mint, I think Harpy Star wanted to see you.
She nodded both to Mud and Sleek. Okay. She walked over to Sleek and nosed her lovingly.
Sleek Pelt turned and headed to the warrior's
What
den.
mentors did y'all get?
Another warrior by the name of Pebble Beach approached the two apprentices.
Hearing the warrior's question, Mud turned around but accidentally bumped into her.
Ow!
Sorry. My mentor is Sleek Pelt,
Huh.
and Mint's is Harpy Star.
Good clanmates, I suppose.
She frowned.
I was just curious.
Sorry, miss. I didn't mean to run into you.
She walked off and seemed to ignore his apology. Mud trotted after her, trying to explain himself.
Harpy Star approached. Hello, Minpaw.
Hearing her name, she looked at Harpy. She had been paying attention to the exchange between Pebble and Mud. Oh, you wanted to see me?
Yes, I would like to assess your abilities.
Mint nodded. Oh, okay. Where do you want to start? She wondered where her leader would be taking her.
I'm going to take you somewhere, and you show me your skills.
This seemed simple enough. She trusted her leader to know what was best. She nodded. Lead the way.
They eventually made their way over to the Gorge. Ah, here we are.
Her heart dropped as she recognized this place. It had been 2 months since she had been back, but it still felt like it was yesterday. What are we doing here?
Training, Harpy stated simply.
She froze, horrified by the memories and the feelings that began to overwhelm her. Do we have to do it here?
A good warrior can function anywhere. Is there a problem with that?
Her ears began to buzz, and her whole body shook. Why was there black splotches in her vision? Mint's balance became unstable, and she fell to the ground.
Harpy sighed, sitting next to her apprentice. What's wrong, Mint?
Images flashed in front of her, rapid waves crashing into her, Whispering lying in the gorge, unmoving, the medicine den, dying. Her whole body shook as she began to breathe rapidly. Mint felt like she couldn't catch her breath.
Harpy nodded. Come walk with me.
Soot's voice boomed in Mint's head.
It's your fault she's dead. You failed me.
She curled into herself.
Harpy softly nudged Mint with her nose.
She jumped at the touch. It was happening all over again. Soot was here. Please, please don't hurt me.
Me? Oh dear, I'm not going to hurt you.
She heard a voice, but it wasn't Soot's. Soot wouldn't say that. Her vision began to clear up. She blinked rapidly. It was night. The cat next to her didn't look like Soot. What? Where am I?
You're with me, and we're about to walk somewhere else, Harpy said gently, trying to ease the young apprentice's mind.
I'm with Harpy Star, not with her. I'm safe? Mint's breathing was still rapid, but began to ease up a little bit. She let Harpy lead the way from the gorge. Anything to get away from the bad memories.
After a bit of a walk, Harpy found the spot she was looking for, a spot on the side of the river. They both sat down. How do you feel?
I'm not sure what you mean. Mint tried to control her heartbeat and her breathing.
We are sitting here, with the quiet flow of the water, together. How does it feel?
Better than I was over there.
Good. Why is that?
I just don't like that place.
And why not?
I just don't like it. She winced at her tone. I'm sorry. She looked down at her paws.
You really shouldn't speak to your leader that way, you know. Harpy tried to ease Mint's nervous demeanor.
I know. I'm sorry. I just don't want to talk about it right now.
Harpy pondered for a moment before responding. Why don't you catch me a fish while I rest these old bones?
I don't know how. She looked down at the river.
Try.
She nodded. Okay. Mint slowly crouched her way over to the river. She watched the water flowing slowly as a fish swam through. She tried to swipe at the fish, but completely missed. She sighed and bit her lip, frustration going across her face.
Go against the current. Let it guide the fish into your paw.
Okay. She tried to listen to her leader. She turned her focus back on the river, paying attention to the flow. She spotted another fish, a bit on the bigger side. She readied her paw and went to swipe.
Ah, hello, you two.
Mint released her swipe, spooked by Harpy's greeting. Luckily, her paw went down at the right moment, catching the fish.
Morning, Sleek purred. Have you two been out all night?
Look, I got one, Mint said with more surprise than anything else. She turned to see Sleek and Mud. Maybe. She looked at her paws a bit embarrassed.
Very good, Mint Paw. Oh, hi, Mint! Hi, Harpy Star! Mud's eyes went wide as he saw Mint catch a fish. Oh!
Her heart swelled with pride. Wow, that's a pretty big catch. Why don't you show Mud some tips? She nodded to Mud before taking a seat next to Harpy.
Harpy nodded in agreement. You have done well and accomplished something on your first day. You are free to go for now. She slowly stood up and headed back to camp.
Thank you, Harpy, she shouted after her mentor.
Mudpaw sat back down, wincing slightly, trying to keep weight off his shoulder. That was so cool, Mint! He beamed.
She blushed a bit at Mud's compliment. Thanks. You can have some of it if you want. There's enough to share.
His eyes widened. Really?
She nodded, happy to share with Mud. She slid the fish over.
Sleek shook her head. No, we feed the kits and elders first.
Oh. His ears drooped a little bit. Right.
Oh, but I just caught this one. She looked up at Sleek. It shouldn't be too big of a deal to eat something that she just caught. And she's sharing, not keeping it for herself.
You two can share a fish once we're done training. We hunt for the better of the clan first.
Okay.
Okay. Mint tried to hide her sadness. Her stomach took that moment to grumble.
She smiled at the two apprentices and moved over to the river's edge. Her tail waved, trying to bring Mint and Mud over. Come try, Mudpaw.
Mint scooted over and waited for Mud to follow. She watched as he stood and slowly got up. Something was off. Mud seemed to be hiding something. Mint looked over to Mud. Are you okay? She whispered.
Sleek began to teach. Crouch and watch the water for any flicker of silver. Always aim for where the fish is going, not where it is.
I'm fine. He crouched down, his tongue poked out a little as he watched the water.
She watched him as he tried to catch a fish. She looked for any sign of something off.
He winced as he moved, missing the fish. He stumbled again to adjust his weight, but overcompensated and his face hit the water, making him sneeze.
She frowned slightly, but quickly buried it with a gentle smile. Good try. Practice makes perfect.
She winced. Mud, what happened? I can tell you're in pain. Ever since things happened with Soot, she became very observant to those around her.
Sleek's eyes narrowed at Mint's comment.
It's nothing. I just got scratched up by a bush. He lied and smiled at Mint. I'll be okay. Just a little sore.
Mud lied terribly, but she didn't push it. At least not right now. She needed to wait until they were alone. Okay, we can talk later.
Right, back to training. She tried to guide the topic back to hunting. Let's find a different spot. It's probably empty here now. Grab your fish, Mint. She stood up and slowly made her way to another part of the river.
Smiled and followed after Sleek. Come on, Mint.
She nodded and picked up her fish. Mint then followed after Sleek and Mudpaw.
After a moment of walking along the riverside, she stopped. This should be far enough. You can both try here.
He crouched again, focusing even harder on the water.
Mint plopped her fish down over the side and crouched over the water. She began to focus. Her ears perked as she heard paw steps. She whipped around, and she inwardly sighed with relief. Oh, it's just clan cats. It was Duskpaw and his mentor Oakberry.
Noticing Mint, Sleek glanced over her shoulder and nodded toward her clanmates in a greeting.
Bud kept his attention on the water. His tail stub twitched as he focused, and he raised his injured paw. After a moment, he swiped, hitting a fish and bringing it to shore, still flopping around. Ah!
Her head turned. You did it, Mud!
Sleek turned her attention back to Mud. Well done, Mudpaw. All right, that's plenty for today. We can carry these back to camp. Then I'll have you replace the moss in the Elder's Den.
He tried to hold the fish down as it flopped on the bank, missing continuously.
She moved over to stop it from plopping back into the water.
Mud took that moment to grab the prey with his mouth, its tail hitting him in the face. He bit down and it went limp.
Sleek padded off, and both apprentices followed after her with the fish in their mouths.
Once they made their way back into camp, she turned to the two apprentices. Just head out and grab some moss for the elders, and you are free for the day.
Mud and Mint dropped their fish in the prey pile. She turned excitedly to Mud. Come on, let's go find some moss. She smiled at him, but her smile faltered. That sentence pulled at her memory. Something similar she had said to another friend. She shook her head, trying to push it back, and headed out of camp with Mud. They walked a bit outside of camp before stopping at a rock. I really don't know where Moss is.
Chuckled nervously. I think it likes wet places, but I don't really know either.
She looked around, making sure there wasn't anyone to be seen. So, are you going to tell me how you really got hurt?
His ears flattened at the question, but they quickly resumed to their normal perky state. I already told you, I got caught in a bush. He turned to hide the obvious cat scratches.
Her eyebrows furrowed. I don't really believe that. She sighed. I can tell when something is wrong. Those didn't look like branch scratches.
He shrugged. It's really not that big of a deal.
She sighed again. It's fine. You don't have to tell me. Just so you know, I won't get you in trouble. She really didn't want to pressure Mud to talk to her.
His head dropped shamefully. Okay, if I tell you, you have to promise that you won't tell anyone.
I promise. She put out her paw to place it in comfort on Mud's, but pulled it back. Her face twisted into a bit of a frown. Memories began to fill her mind again, but shoved it back down.
His head tipped for a moment. I got in a fight with a loner.
Her eyes widened. What? How? When? Panic seeped into her voice.
Last night, I went to get some energy out, and a big loner jumped out and got me. But I got away.
Oh, please be careful. You can't be running off, especially at night. She gave him a slight smile. But I won't tell Sleek or anyone.
Okay, thanks, Mint. Mud looked around. We should really go find some moss.
Yeah, it's a bit late. I think Sleek would understand if we didn't come back with moss.
I think there may be some closer to camp. Come on! He moved off the rock, walking towards camp.
I'm sure we can get some in the morning. She tried to push, not really wanting to get moss.
He turned back. Sleek told us to, though. I don't want to disappoint her.
Okay, let's just be quick.
Don't worry, we will be.
Mud and Mint made their way around camp and eventually found some moss resting on a tree. Here's some. She climbed up the tree, ripping off a bit of moss. Got it.
He climbed up the tree, taking a bit of moss off. Got it! He looked down at the strange black stuff in the river. What's that?
Her nose wrinkled. I don't think that looks good.
We should go back and tell the others.
She nodded. Let's go. Both ran back to camp to tell Harpy Star and Sleek Pelt. After dropping the moss off in the Elder's Den, they made their way over to where Sleek and Harpy were having a conversation. We're back!
Sleek nearly stumbled into the apprentices. Thanks, Star Clan, Sleek sighed. Why were you gone for so long? Don't tell me you went all the way to Shadow Clan for the moss.
You two were sure out late on your own.
Both apprentices blurted out. Sorry, we couldn't find the moss!
She nodded in agreement to Sleek. Normally I would be thrilled at your independence, but there have been some dangers of late. There was some weird black stuff in the river.
Mint nodded in agreement. Yeah.
Harpy froze at the statement. Black stuff in the river?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't smell good.
Yeah, it was weirdly shiny.
Sleek's snout wrinkled with concern.
Where was this?
It was by the moss.
Near the loop in the river, Mud gestured toward the direction.
Sleek glanced toward Harpy for a moment before looking back to the apprentices. You two go get some rest.
She nodded, tiredness coming over her. Okay, let's go, Mud. The two made their way to the apprentice den to sleep for the night.
In the morning, Harpy Star called a clan meeting. Lavender Pool has had an omen, and I believe it may be coming to fruition.
Mud and Mint took a seat by a warrior named Marblepelt. Mint looked up. Was Harpy announcing the black shiny stuff?
Harpy glanced back at Lavender. Would you like to explain your omen?
Lavender, the medicine cat, looked at her leader. Sure, a black substance has been found in our rivers. StarClan has warned me that it's dangerous. If you happen to see it, please do not touch it.
It has yet to spread to camp, but be aware of this new danger.
Sleek's eyes widened. Perhaps that's why I've been feeling sick. I've been drinking from the river. She stepped forward.
Mint's ears perked at Sleek's announcement. Oh, StarClan.
His head tipped in worry towards Sleek. Harpy continued over the worried comments. If any of you touch or drink this liquid, see Lavender Pool immediately.
Mint didn't waste any more time. She stopped listening to the rest of the meeting and ran over to Sleek. Are you okay? Mud seemed to follow.
She glanced toward the apprentices with a gentle smile. Just a little sick from the water is all. Harpy or another cat might need to take care of your training, Mud.
He shivered slightly. Okay. You're going to be okay, right?
A little bad omen water isn't enough to take me down, she chuckled before heading to the medicine den. Tell Harpy Star I need to step down for the moment.
Both apprentices nodded. I hope she'll be okay. Mint was becoming a bit worried, but Sleek didn't seem too worried about it, so she pushed the feelings aside for the moment.